How's it going, everyone? I am the one and only Kaiju Sage. Welcome back to a new video. And in today's video, I have a pretty simple and yet extremely important topic to discuss today. Unique items. Specifically, boss drop unique items and why they need to matter above almost anything else in the game for the longevity of the game and for the general health and well-being of the game and the player base. So, why do these things matter, and how can GGG essentially encourage these things to continue to matter and be better for the game? So, what makes a boss encounter interesting? Let's just start with that. You might think to yourself at a first glance, well, obviously there's, the big slams, the big choreographed, fancy moves, interesting moves, and things that are, well, flashy, big, interesting, nice moves that are just like things that you have to play around. And you're right. That makes the fight itself interesting. Will you do a fight just because it is interesting in Path of Exile? I guess is the overall general question. Will you do a fight just because it is interesting? Myself personally, no. And I hate to say it that way, but the gamer side of my brain says, hey, there's no reward for doing this. Why am I doing this? Just because I like it? Well, I like it, but it's not getting me towards my goal of making my character stronger. And that is what I want to talk about today. Why have uniques slowly been on the decline? As you can see in the background here, I have a wiki page for 𝙀𝙑𝙋𝘼𝙉𝘿 disfavor in the background. And I'll get to that in just a second to talk about it. But that is the first item that I'm going to talk about in the decline of uniques. Slowly but surely, we have seen a decline in the power, the overall power, I should say, of unique items. Because not all uniques, obviously, you still have the Ashes of the Stars and the Crystallized Omniscience and a few other extremely powerful uniques that do great things. Those are still sought after. And that is what I want to talk about. Why are those, sought after? Because they are strong uniques. That is a guaranteed unique. If you are willing to put in the effort to fight the boss, to kill the boss, and farm out that unique, something like All's Uprising, I believe, is the amulet that it is. And obviously it has a bunch of variants in it, but that amulet is so freaking strong. It is insane. And we need more things like that. 𝙀𝙑𝙋𝘼𝙉𝘿 disfavor used to be this way. And it's just slowly they are attacking their own risk versus reward principle. Why, when I am taking on these in-game bosses, even if they're older in-game bosses, this item, here, let me pull up the page really fast. Let me actually pull it up. So on this page, you can see that 𝙀𝙑𝙋𝘼𝙉𝘿 disfavor now drops from the Apex of Sacrifice. 𝙀𝙑𝙋𝘼𝙉 disfavor it was nerfed a couple of times in 3.0, then 3.11, and now you look at it and it is literally such a bad item in terms of what it does. They are willing to let it drop from default 𝙀𝙑𝙋𝘼𝙉, who you can fight at the same level as tier 1 maps. Why is that? Why is that the thing that why are they letting this decline to such a point that is the way that this is? And then I have another page. I have Starforge and Voidfletcher as well. Starforge. This used to be one of the premier items from the Shaper. Why is it getting phased out? Why is this item, not being used? It still has pretty good stats. A decent life roll, attack speed, fizz damage, fizz can shock. But it just doesn't do enough. Because, and this is the where the because comes in. And then I'll talk about Voidfletcher in a minute to talk about them over nerfing items, but The reason that at Series Disfavor and Starforge have fallen so far is because of the rare item focus of the game that they have tried to instill. They are essentially trying to make rare items the tier 1 or tier 0. So if you have a rare item that's up here, why should not, at Series Disfavor and Starforge be like here? They should be around here. They should be a stepping stone towards your final in-game rare, but instead they are all the way down here, just almost out of view, just garbage. You can replace that item. You could replace Starforge with a rare that you threw 3 or 4 Fizz essences against it, more than likely, and it will probably do more damage and just be a better item overall. Same thing with that Series Disfavor. You could probably take an axe, throw 3 or 4 Fizz, deafening Fizz essences against it, and get an even better result. I think that is the core problem with the current state of uniques in Path of Exile. Uniques need to be powerful to a point where a 1 to 2 essence slammed rare cannot compete with a high-end boss drop unique item, but it also should not be the pinnacle. You should have those tier 0 well-crafted rares. We've sort of lost that hierarchy of things. It used to exist very well. Starforge and at Series Disfavor were tier 1, and a perfect mirror tier rare was the tier 0, was the thing that you chased until the end of the league, and once you achieved your tier 0 rare, then you got rid of Starforge, or got rid of at Series Disfavor. But it could carry you. Those items could carry you. We need that back in the game. The perfect example of this that I will look at, and this one is a slightly more recent change. I forget, when did it happen? Let's see. It was in, 3.17. Not long ago at all now. This was only about 6 months ago now. If you look here where my cursor is, let me highlight it real quick. You can see the nerf that they did to it was absolutely tremendous. Now deals 25% more area damage from 100, a 75% nerf. Now has 65% effectiveness of added damage, previously 120. That is a 50% nerf. This essentially took the item down to, I don't know the exact math of it or so, but we'll say it took it down to 40% of its previous power. This was a premier drop from the Elder. When you got this, you were excited, especially when it rolled really, really well, and it wasn't just a meme item. Like, now you use it and it's probably, you are better off just using a rare at this point. They could have just made this be an Uber Elder drop, and that's what they should have done. And this is where I kind of get to the point of frustration, is because at the you want to keep these items at a state of power where they are desirable, but they are not beating things. And so I get that they did need to nerf this. This item at its full power was better than any rare quiver could ever achieve, and it could literally carry builds. Why didn't you just nerf it by 25% more area damage down to 75 and nerf it down to 80% effectiveness? Maybe try, a soft touch instead of literally taking a sledgehammer to its kneecaps. Like, they completely, absolutely broke it in half. Why? Because they have a philosophy now, it seems, that rare items are what the player base want to chase. I don't know where they got this philosophy, or if that's just their own internal philosophy. Myself, personally, I feel that unique items make the game interesting. Unique items need to matter. They need to be the thing that I am chasing while I use, and then use it as a stepping stone to achieve my final rare. Because I do agree that, your final in-game rare should be the maximum capped upgrade that you are chasing. But if the unique items are so bad that I'm willing to just throw them away, use a random rare that I took, 2 essences against, and they're comparable in power to something that drops from an end game boss, this cannot stand. So, how do they actually fix this and accomplish this goal, this idea of making tier 0 rares, making uniques tier 1 and 2 again, and then having some, wiggle room for the in-between? Well, I mean, number one, rebalance some of these unique items. Rebalance 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙿. Maybe give it back some of its stats. Maybe give it back 50% area damage so that it's, now deals 50% more area damage. And maybe give it, 80, 90% effectiveness. Touch up some of these numbers. Touch up Starforge where it can, have, some of its extra fizz damage back, or it has some extra stat. Same thing with that series. You get the idea. Bring these items to a point of relevance, at least some small amount of relevance, so that they can compare to a rare counterpart of roughly, like a few deafening essences. These items, and put them back against their, their end game boss version, right? Like, it is very telling that this item is so underused and underappreciated now. They were willing to move it from 𝙀𝙓𝙋𝘼𝙉𝙿, which is a level 83 boss content, down into the Apex of Sacrifice, normal 𝙀𝙑𝙋𝘼𝙉, which is level 68 content. Or I think it might be 70, 71, who cares? You can kill 𝙀𝙑𝙋𝘼𝙉 with a character in white maps, and you could drop an 𝙀𝙑𝙃's disfavor now. This used to be a pinnacle item, and I think it needs to be restored to its previous power. Unique items need to matter in order to make boss fights matter. Because when the unique items don't matter, the boss fights don't matter. Why am I incentivized to do a risk versus reward scenario when there is no reward for that scenario? And that's about it. That about sums up everything I wanted to say. So thank you all for watching. I really appreciate y'all being here. If you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what items you would like to see rebalanced and how you think they could address some of these issues that I've talked about in this video. And, if you do comment down below, I'll give it a little heart. And, I hope to see you all in the next one. And have a great day.